TII Item 433, June 30th, 2017, iOS 11 Public Beta, iOS 10.3.3 Beta 5.
Welcome to Today in iPhone.
I like it a lot.
Today in iPhone.
Hey, Google!
Oh yeah!
My beautiful iPhone, which I never have out of my hand and that I do everything with and has become an extension of whom I am.
Today's show is brought to you by Thumbtack. Hire skilled pros for absolutely anything at thumbtack.com today. It's fast, easy, and free.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Rob, and you are listening to the Today in iOS podcast. First up, I want to thank Rich for sending in the artwork for today's show. Rich wrote the following. Hi, Rob. Hope all is well. Attaches a photo of me in front of the Apple Store in Boston, Mass. I use the Over app to add the graphics and text on my iPhone 7. I really enjoy listening to the podcast. I especially appreciate your sensitivity and focus on iOS users with disabilities. Keep up the great work. Regards, Rich C. Well, thanks, Rich, for sending in the artwork. And folks, you can see Rich's artwork in the free TI app via the bonus button for episode 433, or at instagram.com/todayinios, and also at facebook.com/todayinios. Rich's picture continues to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of TII and the iPhone. The iPhone just hit the 10-year anniversary yesterday. Congratulations, iPhone. It's been a fun and quick 10 years. Please, when taking a photo of yourself in front of your local Apple Store, if at all possible, take a square picture, as I have to make them square for iTunes, and put on the Apple Store location on the photo along with the TII or Today in iOS branding. And thanks to the many of you that have already sent in the photos. As always, send those pictures to todayinios@gmail.com. And if you have some music you've created on your iOS device that you would like to share with the audience, please email it to me and at the same email address, and make sure you include which app or apps you use to create that music. Okay, let's get right into the news. On June 28th, Apple released iOS 10.3.3 Beta 5 to developers. They also released watchOS 3.2.3 Beta 4 on June 26th. Both are standard bug fixes and optimizations only. I would expect them to go Gold Master on these the week of July 10th. I think we're getting along there, and I think they're going to see that more and more developers aren't testing them because they're over testing iOS 11. And when those two go Gold Master, I would expect tvOS 10.2.2 to go Gold Master, although that one was not updated this past week. Okay, that all said, it is the iOS 11 public beta that many care about, and Apple, as expected and promised, released a public beta version of iOS 11 this past week, and even released a second revised version of the beta. They also released a revised version of tvOS 11 Beta 2. Before getting into it, remember this. Do not put betas on devices that you need for work. Beta means bugs. I only put it on my non-critical devices and then never on my wife's iOS devices. No. If you are someone that does not like when things are perfect, stay away from the public betas. Regardless of your pain level, you should also back up any devices before you put a beta on it. Hopefully that goes without saying. Well, I just said it. But anyway, it goes with saying too. Make sure to back up everything, especially photos. Then to install the public beta, you need to enroll your iOS device by visiting beta.apple.com and signing up by clicking on sign up. But honestly, if I need to tell you that, you should not be installing a beta on your device. If someone needs detailed step-by-step instructions to install a beta, maybe best they just download paper.io and play some games instead. Just saying. I don't mean to be overly flippant about this, because that's how it kind of came across, just moderately flippant. But I have read some comments on some boards recently, not on the Today in iOS boards, but on other boards I go and peruse, where people were complaining and bitching about not everything working. And one person said this, quote, "I can't believe Apple released this when it clearly is not ready for release. It is full of bugs," unquote. And the person was being serious. Beta equals bugs. Beta equals bugs. I can't say that enough. All right. With all of that said, some of you were already public beta testers for iOS 10, and you may be wondering if you need to re-enroll. And the answer is to that, yes. If you don't, it will just say iOS 10.3.3 is the most up-to-date version. So yes, go back to beta.apple.com and re-enroll your device. Before we get into iOS 11 and some of the changes versus iOS 10, here is just a little bit of listener feedback. Hi, Rob. In the Settings app for iOS 11, Facebook, Vimeo, Twitter, and Flickr are now included in the app list, not in their own section like in the past. Regards, Nick. And then, hi, Rob. The options for Facebook and such are gone forever from settings. It was spoken about directly in the keynote. From now on, registration will be handled in the relevant apps. Regards, Kevin B. And thanks, Rob, for the end of the show bloopers on the last episode. Regards, Thomas. Well, Thomas, sounds like I had some middle of the show bloopers as well last time. Per the end of the show, here's something to note. Anyone not sticking around to the end is often going to miss out on something at the end of the episode. Just saying. Stick around. Speaking of issues, last episode, I answered a question for Barbara E. about palm rejection and gave out a setting for the Notes app to not draw with finger. Well, that is not an iOS 10 feature. That is a new feature in iOS 11 only. Sorry about that confusion, Barbara. All right. And from the Google Plus community, this from Danielle Saul. She said, quote, also put the public beta on my iPad mini 2 and seems to be working fine, unquote. And there's other people saying it's working fine. And of course, there are people talking about bugs. I won't report specific bugs with iOS 11. I'm not here to talk about bugs. I'm here to talk about new features or missing features. Bugs are expected. Beta equals bugs. Again, remember, beta equals bugs. We're not going to talk about the bugs on here other than to say there are bugs and there will be bugs for multiple beta versions. But for now, we're going to get into what are some of the new features or some of the things that have been taken away. And please, 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 if you have some new features that you found and really liked in iOS 11, or have something that's missing in iOS 11 that you really liked in iOS 10, give us a call, 206-666-6364. That's 206-MOON-DOG. Or record it and send an email off to todayinios@gmail.com, or you can just put it as an email, send it over as text as well. On the last episode, 432, I went over the new sections or newly named sections in iOS 11 in the Settings app, which are again Siri, which is now listed as Siri in search, accounts and passwords, which were broken out of Mail, photos, and then camera. Those two used to be married, but now are divorced and are on their own in iOS 11. And then finally, when you look at iPhones, there is also the addition of the emergency SOS section. This episode, I'm going to go over changes in the Settings app for iOS 11 for the iPhone and iPads. And starting with Wi-Fi, now when connected to a network, if you tap on the little icon, the little eye icon for info, or just tap on the name of the Wi-Fi, you will have, this is once you're connected to, you will have more choices. There is now an auto join toggle. There are options for configure IP, automatic or manual or boot P. There is option for configure DNS, and you have the choices of automatic or manual. And for configure proxy, there are the choices of off, manual, or automatic. And the first options I just mentioned for both of those were the defaults. Nothing new with Bluetooth. The cellular section had some additional options. Wi-Fi calling is now there as an option. Default is set to off. Calls on other devices is a new option. It is by default turned off. The description is use your iPhone cellular account to make and receive calls on devices signed into your iCloud account when they are nearby and on Wi-Fi. And there is a new option, carrier services, which has the number to call for your cellular carrier. In my case, T-Mobile is 611. Those are the key differences in cellular, not many. In notifications, one new option, or the only option, is show previews, which is by default set to always. The description is notification previews will be shown whether iPhone is locked or unlocked. Your options are always, when locked, or never. And always is the default there. When you go to set up for any of the apps, you do have some new options there. So you can go to individual apps and then see what the options are for notifications. Show on lock screen and show in notification center are gone. They are replaced with show on cover sheet on or off, show in history on or off, and show as banners on or off. Previously, you had the alter style when unlocked section that showed 3 iPhones, and they were none, banners, and alerts. Well, now there are just 2, and they are either temporary or persistent. Quote, persistent banners require an action before proceeding. Temporary banners appear at the top of the screen and go away automatically. So if you have an app for, say, let's say Today in iOS, the TII app, and you want to make sure when you wake up, the TII push notification is showing, just set it to persistent. And that will turn, and then make sure you turn on all the other options. So that's a good way to make sure when you get up in the morning, or depending where you live in the world, and get home from work in the afternoon, that you can see if there's a new episode of TII. Next is Control Center. And this is a really big change for iOS 11, if not the biggest, and definitely one of the top 3 for sure. And that change is the option to customize controls. Items that you can add to Control Center, screen recording, which is great. You can do real, actual screen recording native in iOS on your device. Finally, no more need to connect it to a computer and record it on the computer. So that, for anyone who has to do screen tutorials, this is a great new addition. There are, of course, the standard options of flashlight, timer, calculator, and camera. They're back. There is also now accessibility shortcuts, alarm, Apple TV remote, do not disturb while driving, guided access, low power mode, magnifier, notes, stopwatch, text size, voice memos, and wallet. These are all items you can add to the Control Center. The last group, and screen recording is with that, are all off by default. So everything there from accessibility shortcuts to the wallet, all the ones I just mentioned, plus screen recording, are all off by default. You can, if you want, have them all in Control Center. There is no limit. Just turn them all on. They'll all be there. It just means scrolling on the iPhone, but looks just fine when you're on the iPad with showing all of them. Options for airplane mode, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth return as well when in Control Center, with no option to turn those off, along with a new one, which is a cellular item. And if you long press on one of those 4 items, it pops up the wireless Control Center with the additional option of personal hotspot and AirDrop. AirDrop was an option in iOS 10 right there, and it actually got demoted in iOS 11 to a secondary option. Additional items in Control Center are brightness and volume controls. Night shift has been demoted to a secondary feature under brightness when you long press the brightness control. AirPlay mirroring has been renamed to screen mirroring. There are still the auto lock button and do not disturb options as well. The last new item in Control Center is the music player controls, which has the play, pause button, and the fast forward and rewind button. And if you long press it, you'll get the volume slider and the option for AirPlay. Also, if you're playing a podcast app at the time, those fast forward and rewind buttons become the 15-second back and 15-second forward buttons. The music player is really the media player controls. So it will include the TII app if you happen to have that running, or YouTube if that's running. So whatever app you have running and playing media, when you go to Control Center, that's going to be what that music player controls are for. It will control whatever app is currently playing. Now, some of them will have different features, and some of them will work well and some won't. And we'll see how that goes forward. App developers are going to have to tweak it a little bit there. Control Center will make interacting with your iOS device faster for many common tasks. And again, in my opinion, in iOS 11, the new additions to Control Center are one of the top 3 biggest changes to iOS 11. Next up is Do Not Disturb. And previously, the first option was called Manual. Now it's just called Do Not Disturb. And now there is the Do Not Disturb While Driving section. First option is Activate, which is set to manually by default, but you can also set to when connected to Bluetooth or automatically. And automatically is based on the motion, or they detect the motion. So once you get going over a certain speed, it just kicks in, or must kick in. That sounds what it sounds like. There is an option for auto reply to, and you can have a message sent to no one, recents, favorites, or all contacts. Favorites seems to be the default. I changed it to all contacts. The auto reply message is, I'm driving with Do Not Disturb while driving turned on. I'll see your message when I get where I'm going, quote unquote. I changed that on my son's phone to, my parent is driving. I'm 9 years old and I want to make it past 10. Your message can wait until I is safe. Now go listen to my podcast, quote unquote. I kind of figured a message coming from my son's phone saying he was driving would not be accurate, hopefully. Okay, now we get to the big dog in the settings app, and that is general. And we're not going to get through all of this. We're just going to get part of the way through. In the About section, they had a new item, MEID, which of course stands for Mobile Equipment Identifier. Duh. And is a unique identifier for a mobile device. While in the About section, if you tap on applications, if you have any that are not going to work or will slow down iOS 11, they will be listed there. This is true in iOS 10 as well. So best to go see what apps they are now, and if you don't need them, boot them. Of the 358 apps on my iPhone 7 Plus, only 11 show issues, and most of them can easily get to boot. One of them is a tag reader and will not need that in iOS 11. Now, in iOS 11, when you tap on model, it will change to iPhone model that you see Apple using internally and on their websites. So, for example, model that is listed normally is MGC42LL/A for my iPhone 6 Plus, and that became A1522, which is, again, what you'll see on their website for the different versions when you get down in the listing. One more change in iOS 11 About page, which is finally here, is when you press on the lines for serial number, Wi-Fi address, Bluetooth, IMEI, ICCID, MEID, and in SEID. And when you tap on those lines for those items, you get a nice little pop-up that says copy. Finally. Well, it doesn't say finally, it just says copy. And if you tap on that, it copies it. So if your IT department asks you for any of those items, you don't have to double and triple check. You just tap, copy, open email, paste, and send. Thank you, Apple. For IT managers, they will be really, really happy about that new addition because, even after one of your employees triple checks it, the info that they send you is still more than 50% likely to have a messed up where they have a 0 for an O or an O for a 0 or some other mistake. So yes, I can see some IT managers really liking that new option. Next up in settings is Spotlight Search is moved over to Syrian Search. So that's gone. Go back to episode 432 for more info on that. The option for Home button is no longer showing up as a major category in general. That's been moved to accessibility. We'll get to that in a little bit. And, well, actually, let's get to the biggest item in general, and that is accessibility. We're not even going to get through all of accessibility today. But before we get into accessibility, I want to welcome Thumbtack back as a sponsor of Today in iOS. Thumbtack makes it easy to find pros for pretty much anything you need done. Download the Thumbtack app or try it out now at thumbtack.com. For home improvement to event planning to private swim lessons, Thumbtack customers can find more than 1,100 types of pros in all 50 states. I have a little agreement with the wife. If it has a cord that plugs into it, I will install, maintain, and fix it. if it has a pipe or hose or runs on gas, liquid or gas, if it fills up with water or requires a ladder with more than 6 steps to get to, then it is out of my area of expertise. We had some wood trim this spring that needed replacing, and it required climbing a ladder more than 6 steps up, ripping off the old wood trim and putting up new trim and painting it. No on pretty much all of that. So I went to Thumbtack.com, answered a few questions about what I needed done, then typed in my zip code, gave my email address and name, and submitted all in about a minute or two. And that was it. It really is that fast and easy. I submitted the application, and within 15 minutes, I had my first 2 quotes, and then a few more came in really quick after that. And we found our guy named Cheeto, who came out, repaired the wood rot, and I did not even have to touch a ladder. He did such a good job, we're having him come back and do some more repairs around the house. Their tagline is, quote, "It's fast, easy, and free. Hire skilled pros for absolutely anything at thumbtack.com today," unquote. And that is so true. You can find any professional for any job. Yard work, wedding planning, any task that requires you getting on a ladder, Thumbtack has you covered. But it goes beyond those with over 1,100 categories, including personal training, music lessons, tax preparation, and much, much more. And the much more includes app development. So if you're an app dev, this is a great way to find clients in your area or any area. If you have any sort of service, this is a great way to get new clients. Just go to thumbtack.com and get started. Thanks, Thumbtack, for sponsoring this show. Okay, now let's get into the biggest item in general, and that is accessibility. And into VoiceOver first, and pitch changes was moved under speech, and speech was moved to where pitch changes used to be. With pitch changes, there is now a slider for that pitch change. Under verbosity, verbosity, however you want to pronounce it, I probably got it right the second time and not the first, but anyway, under verbosity, wow, there were a bunch of changes. They added punctuation with options of all, some, or none. Some is default. There is speak detected text, which determines whether automatically detected text is in the focused items is spoken. Capital letters is a new option with the options of speak cap, the default, or play sound, or change pitch, or do nothing. Deleting text is another new option with the same options as capital letters, except change pitch is the default. And then there is embedded links, same options again, but speak is the default. Another new section under verbosity is table output with the options of table headers and row and column numbers. Both are toggle on or off. And they are described as, quote, determine whether this information is output when navigating tables. Finally, new under verbosity is media descriptions. Default is off. Other options are speech, braille, and speech and braille. All those new features are under settings, general, accessibility, voiceover, and verbosity. Anyway, those are 5 levels down. There's a lot of options added to that one little 5-level down section. Under Braille, there are a few changes. Status cells now has a couple of items added. Show general status, that's toggle on or off, and then show text status, which is toggle on or off. Word wrap is a new on-off toggle under the main Braille section, and those are the changes in the voiceover section. Under display accommodations, the invert colors, now there are 2 options. There's smart invert toggle on or off, and classic invert, which is a toggle on or off. Smart invert reverses colors of the display except for images, media, and some apps that use dark color styles. So that makes the invert colors better, work better, and look better. Under accessibility, switch control, there is a new section, keyboard, that adds 2 new options, both toggle on or off. One is scan same key after tap, and the other one is extended predictions. The first turned off by default, the second turned on by default. There is also new option under point scanning, high pointer precision, and that's a toggle on or off. Under menu items, there is a new section for media controls. And those are all the changes for accessibility, then switch control. Under accessibility assistive touch, there is one new item, idle opacity, which reduces the visibility of assistive touch when not in use. Remember our missing home button mentioned earlier? Well, it is here under accessibility, and it has some additional options. Click speed allows you to choose between default, slow, or slowest. Press and hold to speak has the option for Siri or voice control or off. And there is the option to toggle on or off rest finger to open. I'm going to go ahead and end this overview here. Next time I'll pick up with accessibility Siri, but it's really, really late. And this section is getting really, really long. Okay, is very, very long. But it is great to see all these new additions to accessibility. And it's a lot to take in. On episode 434, we'll pick up where we just left off. Should have beta 3 of iOS 11 out by then. And good thing we have until September 20th to get through all these changes, because there seems to be quite a bit this time in iOS 11. Here's a little interesting factoid making its rounds. Quote, Apple in the first half of 2017 had more revenue from the App Store than Apple did for everything for all of 2007. Unquote. Well, that is what the internet says and is being reported and re-reported and reposted everywhere. No. Apple's revenue for fiscal year 2007 was $24 billion. And in the past 12 months, Apple said they did $30 billion in app sales revenue. That would mean Apple had to do $24.1 billion of that $30 billion in the last 6 months. No. Don't get me wrong. That app sales revenue, what most people oftentimes consider almost a throwaway item on Apple's balance sheet, is already now bigger in the last 12 months than all of Apple's revenue for 2007 is really impressive, but it's not 2 times it yet. If the headline was simply Apple had more app sales revenue in the last 12 months than Apple did for all of 2007, that would have still been a really impressive headline. And it also would have been, accurate. More amazing is if you go back to this podcast 10 years ago, and you're going to hear me saying Apple needs to allow installable apps. It is something often forgotten, but Apple originally just wanted web apps on the iPhone. We even built one of them at Libsyn. But quickly, the jailbreakers came to the rescue, Apple's rescue as it turns out to be, and showed the true power of downloadable apps, and the rest is now history.
Hi, Rob. It's Kim from Salem, Oregon, and this message is for the 3 people, Bob, John, and someone else, that called about voiceover dictation cutting out on them when they were dictating on their phones. I used to have that problem when I had the iPhone 5S, I think it was, or maybe the 6S, I don't remember which one. But that was because of the audio ducking. It was on, and when I turned it off, it solved the problem, which is great, because that was really annoying and frustrating. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that it does work, so just turn off the audio ducking in the settings, general accessibility, voiceover, and go to audio, and if audio ducking is on, turn it off, and it will solve your problem. See you later, and keep up the awesome show. Definitely looking forward to iOS 11 in September. Woo! Bye.
Rob, it's Brent in Oklahoma City. I wanted to report back and let you know that turning off audio ducking does not fix the problem with dictating speech fading away. Since your suggestion, I've turned that off, and I've been working with my iPhone today, and it still fades out. So the audio ducking does not fix the problem. It is definitely an issue that Apple is going to have to fix. But thanks for the idea. It was worth a try. Hope this helps. Take care. Bye.
This is Jeff Nielsen from Minneapolis. I was listening to your recent episode, and somebody was saying that they had the voice fade out in VoiceOver. I'm having a similar problem when I'm listening to podcasts. I will be driving in the car most of the time, and I may have my map, either Apple Maps or Google Maps, on and telling me where to turn and where to go. And as soon as I start listening to the podcast, either one of the map apps, when it is giving a direction, says the first 3/4 second or a second worth of the material, turn right at, and then it stops and fades out, and it stays blank until the message would have been over, and then the podcast continues. And it seems to be every time I use the podcast app to do that. So just thought I'd mention that I'm having that problem. I have not figured out a solution to it, and hopefully somebody has, or maybe Apple will be fixing it in version 11. Thanks for all you do. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks all for the feedback, and got a couple more emails here on this. Hi, Rob. As you may recall, I'm a VoiceOver user. The problem when dictating is it begins to read out what it is transcribing and then interrupts itself. I assure you, audio ducking does not fix the problem. This is a problem Apple introduced, I believe, in iOS 10, and they have resisted all entreaties to fix it. This is one of several bugs that Apple introduced, and only a few of which have been fixed. Also, all 32-bit apps have been purged from the App Store, so the listener that asked does not need to worry about downloading one of the 32-bit apps now. They're all 64-bit apps available. Regards, Kevin B. Okay, now I'm really confused. Audio ducking works for some people, not for others. Sounds like it's a very strange intermittent bug here, and not a bug affecting everyone. Now, maybe it depends on the device you have and the version of iOS, but for Kim, it worked. For others, it did not. So interesting to see if anyone's trying iOS 11, if they've been able to test this out with VoiceOver and see if the issue is still there with iOS 11, at least for them. But again, it sounds like for some users, it's not there, and others, it is still there, and audio ducking doesn't help. All right, let's go back into the email bag and back to the 64-bit question on apps. Hi, Rob. Heard the question on the last episode, apps that would work in iOS 11, 64-bit or not. Thought I'd send this. Step 1, tap settings, then general, then about, and then tap on applications. If you're unable to tap application, it means you have no incomplete apps or incompatible apps on your device. I tried this and found quite a list, including Flappy Birds. Ooh, I hope this helps others. Thanks for all you do. Regards, Dan C. in the UK. Well, thank you, Dan. Hi, Rob. 64-bit has been a requirement for new apps since February 2015 and updates since June 2015. This means that any app updated since then would have to be 64-bit compatible. Regards, Jeff. And then finally, aloha, Rob. I just listened to your podcast on the 14th. First time I realized iOS 11 will include document scanning. And then I caught as the epilogue, the ending of that episode with the person with cerebral palsy and her needs. For years, I've been using an app called DocScan. And listen, it does everything you describe and want. I think I just use it to capture documents and organize the app, upload, and then it to Google Docs, OCRs it, and creates a PDF and a whole lot more. It seems to me the creators of this have done little to market or explain what they have. I believe they're from Japan, and this app has been available for many years. Again, the name of the app is DocScan, one word, DocScan. Regards, Bill. Bill, thank you so much for your feedback, and I did forward that on to Win, who was the caller at the end of 2 episodes ago. We are now over 3,500 members in our Google Plus community and growing. Thanks to everyone that has joined, and thanks for the great posts. One new post in the Google Plus community that went up since the last episode was from Bob B., who said the following, quote, I'm experiencing a new issue regarding web pages in Safari on iPads. The font is very small, and I'm unable to enlarge it. One site seems worse than others. I changed the global accessibility settings that works as expected in some apps, notes, etc., but doesn't appear to be working in Safari. I know that all apps don't support it, Google Plus, for example, but this seems crazy to me that Safari doesn't support it. Am I missing something? Unquote. And Chris Coyne replied, quote, in Safari, use the reader feature. Say you're going to an article in Wikipedia, Safari will flash in the address bar that the reader is available. On the address bar, on the left is a lined symbol. Press it. The story is now in Reader, and you can change the font and text sizes quickly and easily, unquote. And Bob replied, that solved the issue. So thanks, Chris, for helping out Bob. Since the last episode, there were also dozens and dozens and dozens of other new posts and comments in the TII Google Plus community, which is an Android fanboys free zone and spammer free zone. Yep, it is the most civil Google Plus community covering iOS. Folks, go to todayios.com/community, join in, and thanks to all 3,500 plus of you already in the community and contributing. Random tip time. This is for Spotlight Math. Just open Spotlight and type in something like 832 times 437, and the answer shows right up. Of course, you don't even have to hit return. Of course, typing in there is not as easy as on the calculator, so you can hit that mic button and say 823 times 437, and it will show the answer. So really 2 tips. One, use Spotlight to do math, and the second is to dictate it in instead of typing it in. But either way, this is for simple math, not complicated stuff. So multiplication, division, subtraction, addition, that's what you're looking to do here. I thought this next story was amusing and interesting, and that's as France's new president, Emmanuel Macron, when getting his official portrait taken, took the time to deliberately place 2 iPhones in the picture with him. This was done with the purpose of showing how tech-friendly and modern a president he will be. Plus, by showing he has 2 iPhones, he's also letting the ladies know they should check out the app TasteBuds. It is France, after all. I mean, why else would he have 2 iPhones? Apple is now selling refurbished Apple Pencils for just $85. That is, if you can put out of your mind what the previous owner was doing with said pencil to require it to get fixed. And if you can do that, good for you. I will give over the extra $14 and not rely on Apple's promise of a thorough cleaning process. Thanks, but no thanks. And by all means, do not Google what people do with pencils. But again, if you don't mind that and want to save $14, you can get a refurbished Apple Pencil for your iPad Pro. You know, the one that you likely spent $1,000 on. And people have started tearing apart iOS 11, looking for hints of new features for the future iPhones. And one that seems to have the rumor boards a buzzing is a discovery of a new sound file. The file is named engage_power.caf, and it is different from the current connected_power.cf or connect_power.cf sound that you hear now when connecting power. Now, there are other sounds in iOS 10 that have never been used, so this could be one that's never wind up being used in iOS 11, or it could mean that wireless charging is coming. There's a lot of smoke out there for Apple and having wireless charging on the next iPhone. Apple joined the Wireless Power Consortium. In February, they have been hiring dozens of employees with backgrounds in wireless charging, and they have been supposedly buying wireless charging components from a wide range of manufacturers. Plus, there is the rumor mills and the people in know rumors that say wireless charging is coming for the next iPhone. That all said, Apple already has a product they charge wirelessly, the Apple Watch. So all that smoke might actually be coming from Apple Watch smokestack and not the iPhone 8 smokestack. But still good to hope for. It would be nice to see the iPhone 8 having wireless charging, because if it doesn't, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to bash Apple for not putting wireless charging on the iPhone 8. One of the other rumors about the iPhone 8 has to do with its wired charging. This rumor states it will come with a 10-watt USB-C wall charger and a USB-C to Lightning cable. So the iPhone 8 will have the standard Lightning port, just that the charger will be one with a USB-C port and not the standard USB port. The iPhone 8 then would have the same Cypress semiconductor chip that is in the new iPad Pros 10.5 and 12.9 inches that allow for fast charging. So when it comes to charging the iPhone 8, at least this week, according to rumors, you will be able to charge it wirelessly and also fast charge it with the USB-C 10-watt charger that comes with it. Some pretty powerful rumors this week. What started as a rumor and now seems to be confirmed is that Apple recently acquired a German computer vision company, SensoMotoric Instruments. They are a provider of eye tracking glasses and systems. Their products are used in a wide range of products, including virtual and augmented reality, in-car systems, and a bunch of other yada, 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 yadas. But the first three are the ones you can see Apple having a need/interest in. It will likely be a while, if ever, before we can pinpoint to a new feature coming directly from this acquisition. See acquisitions of Lynx and PrimeSense as past examples. In any case, this acquisition is already up on the wiki page for Apple acquisitions, so it must be true. In case you are curious, the other 2017 acquisitions were Lattice Data in May, which does artificial intelligence, Bedit, also in May, which does sleep tracking hardware, and Workflow, which, well, is the app Workflow that was talked about here a few different times back in March when they were acquired. And those are all of the known acquisitions for 2017 so far. Could be others, but right now those are the ones that we know of.
Yeah, hey there, Rob. It's Woody calling in from New Jersey, and I'm following up to a comment you made about search within Siri. And you had suggested that everybody turn off all apps that they do not think they need to search within, which is great advice and will, of course, limit the number of search results. But it does something else. I have been having a problem for years where I'll go to my home screen and I'll pull down on the screen and I'll get that text search field box and I'd search for like a contact or an app. And sometimes I would get no results and it was completely intermittent. It didn't make any sense. And I had gone to the store. They couldn't help me out. Then I called into the helpline and they escalated to another person who then submitted it to engineering. About a month later of, repeatedly following up, I finally did get somebody to call me back or give me the answer, which is to switch off all of those extra apps except for the Apple apps. And I did that, and it fixed the problem. So now when I search for a contact, I found the contact. If I click on the contact name, I got to their contact information. If I look for an app, I get the app. And this is still having 100 or 200 apps on my phone. So it was not the number of apps. It was the fact that Siri was trying to search within all of those apps and was apparently just breaking down from having too much information to search as far as I can figure out. But I've gone back through and selectively added one app per week that I care about so that I could isolate the problem. If it all of a sudden started happening again, I'd know which app caused it. And really, I'm only putting on Evernote and a few other things that I care about, finding search results in, and it's been working great. So thought I'd mention that there is another benefit to keeping all of those apps switched off. And yes, it is a pain to go through. I have like 200 apps, and so I had to switch them all off and then selectively turn on just the Apple apps and one by one, week by week, the apps that I care about. But it has solved a long-standing, really annoying problem, and I thought I'd let the listeners know that this will solve that problem for them if anybody's having the same one. I have talked to a few people who have seen the same thing. I know I'm not the only person. And apparently the Apple engineering team knows about it as well. So hopefully they'll fix that in iOS 11. I hope you'll pass it along to the audience. Thanks again for all you do. Love the show. Keep up the great work.
Woody, thank you so much for that feedback. Into the email bag we go. Hi, Rob. My upgrade to iOS 11 beta and my iPad Pro is going so well that I threw caution to the wind and upgraded my number one device, my iPhone 7 Plus, to iOS 11 as well. So far, no buyer's remorse. Jim. Hi, Rob. Installed iOS 11 public beta on both my iPhone 5S and iPad Mini 2. Overall, it ain't that bad. I think my favorite feature so far is the new control center, in which I can long press on certain icons and get more options, even with the devices that don't have 3D touch. Love the show. Scott M., Northlake, Illinois. Thanks, gentlemen, for the feedback. Back to the email bag. Hi, Rob. I sent an email telling you that my push notifications from the TI app haven't worked in months. Sorry, I'm an idiot. I looked under notifications and found that the Today in iOS app was turned off for some reason. I honestly don't know how that got that way, but I'm glad I checked, so please disregard my previous email. Keep up the good work. Regards, Steve B. If you are not getting push notifications when a new episode of TI comes out, there are two things to check. One is if you have it enabled. So go to Settings app, Notifications, scroll down your app list till you get to TI app and tap on it to turn everything to green for the switches. If it is on and you're not getting pushes, one thing that will stop them from coming through is if you have Do Not Disturb turned on. So I typically send out at night, and a lot of people have Do Not Disturb on, and that could be a good reason why you're not getting push notifications from the TII app.
Hey, Rob, this is Gil from Boston. I have a question for you about the Photos app in the iPhone. One of the features is the presence of albums, and when you create a new album and put pictures in it, when you actually then look at the album choices in the albums window in the app, it always puts the oldest or the first picture that you've put in there as sort of the flagship or the caption picture of that album. And I'm wondering if there is any way that you can change what shows up in that thumbnail view of all of the albums that you have. For instance, I have an album which has pictures of my granddaughter from literally newborn, 1 day old, through now she's almost 3. And I would love for the picture that shows up there to be the most recent or the best one that I really like to see the most, as opposed to the picture of this tiny little baby wrapped up in swaddling clothes. So if anybody knows if there's any kind of a fix, how I might change what that thumbnail picture is on the album's screen in Photos, that would be great. Thanks a lot. Love the show. Take care. Bye.
Gil, thanks for the feedback. And folks, I'm going to throw this out. If anyone can help Gil, give us a call, 206-666-6364. That's 206-MOON-DOG. Or send an email to todayinios@gmail.com. For a Kickstarter project, this time we have the InkCase i7 Plus. It's a dual screen for iPhone 7 Plus. This one will run you about $89, and it is a, quote, e-ink smart case designed for adventurers, bookworms, business persons, selfie takers, and everyone else, unquote. The company has already shipped the i7 non-Plus unit, so they have experience actually shipping out an e-ink case for the iPhone. I know some others have done e-ink cases on Kickstarter and Indiegogo and never made it to production, some for less than ethical reasons. But again, this company has shipped product. You can see some unboxing videos for their i7 projects when they've shipped out. One thing not in those videos is a new feature, which is their, quote, newly developed selfie function allows you to use the InkCase i7 Plus screen to give you a real-time reflection of yourself so you can use your back camera for the perfect holiday shot, unquote. If you want to take a selfie and with a really good camera, this will allow it. You see yourself on the e-ink display, so you can make sure that you are in the picture and you're centered up and you're where you need to be in the picture. No need to use the mirror in the girls' room anymore. They have already reached and exceeded their goals, so this one is funded. If you want this, you just need to pledge for it. And you'll need to make that pledge before Friday, July 28th at 4 p.m. Central Time. To find more on this, go to InkCase i7 Plus in the show notes for episode 433, or search for it on Kickstarter.com. Again, InkCase, one word, i7, then plus, Plus. You can search in Kickstarter or at todayinios.com. Some Apple TV news. Apple added another single sign-on TV provider for Apple TV, but sadly it was not Google Fiber. They just added WOW, or Wide Open West. They join Blue Ridge, Cable One, CenturyLink Prism, DirecTV, Dish, Grande Communications, GVTC, GTA, Hawaiian Telecom, Hotwire, Metrocast, Service Electric, and Sling TV. Noticeably missing from this list, Google Fiber, okay, noticeable to me, but noticeable to many others, Comcast, Verizon, and Spectrum are nowhere to be found.
It's Daniel from West Beach, Cambridgeshire. 1Password, Apple Keychain. This is my question. Does anybody use primarily the Apple Keychain? I use 1Password, Apple Keychain, and I'm looking to unify and just use Apple Keychain. However, I'm coming across problems in Safari. The ability to use Apple Keychain is not as prevalent. Oh my God, prevalent. Oh, that's it, I'm done for the day now. Don't need to use any more big words. Nailed it. Right, what I mean is, the 1Password app, I have to hold on, sorry. I have to come out of Safari, go into 1Password, manually find the password, do a bit of cut and paste or copy and paste, put it in there, and Bob's your uncle, right? However, the keychain you would expect being in Safari would work better, but I can't see it anywhere. Does anybody else have this problem? Is it something simple like just changing a setting of some description, or is it more to do with the Unicode of the website not talking well to Safari, or something being an imbalance? Help me out, Rob. I've got so many passwords. It's doing me brain in, son. Doing me nutting, ain't it? Anyway, as always, Namaste!
Well, Daniel, first off, thanks for the voicemail message, and sorry that you're having problems there with 1Password. I don't use 1Password, so I can't really give comments on that. I do use Apple's keyword chain, and that works well for me, so I haven't had issues. If anyone else out there knows of an answer for Daniel, let them know. Now, here's one thing I will point out. When iOS 11 comes, you can password protect, or actually set it up to protect Note in iOS 11 with your thumbprint. So what you can do is create a note in iOS 11 that is protected by Touch ID. And then inside that note, you put your passwords that you want. Normally you would put into like 1Password. You put those into the note in iOS 11, and whenever you need your passwords, you can just unlock it with your finger, and you can see that. You can put in pictures of credit card. You can do some other things in that note that are then locked down and only unlocked with Touch ID. So that's one thing you may want to look at as far as passwords goes. And of course, you use the keychain passwords feature of iOS for unlocking when you go to apps or go to websites and whatnot on a regular basis. But if you ever need to go back to your passwords, that is one way you can do it. That all said, if anyone has a better answer for Daniel, please give us a call, 206-666-6364. That's 206-Moondog, or shoot an email to todayinios@gmail.com. Into the email bag we go. Hi, Rob. I am a blind user who recently bought my first iPad, was setting it up, and I accidentally spelled my first name incorrectly. And even though I have corrected it, when I send outgoing emails, it still shows the wrong name. As you can see from the screenshot I've attached, it looks fine in settings. I have no idea how to correct this, so I was wondering if you or your listeners knew what I should do. I have already fixed it in iCloud. Thank you for your help, as this is driving me crazy. Regards, Lynn. And I'm going to send this out to the audience. Please give us a call or shoot us an email if you can help Lynn get rid of the name that she has, or username, that is now showing up spelled incorrectly. Hi, Rob. We've been loyal listeners of your podcast for years. We still love your podcast intro. And at the iPhone 10th anniversary, are trying to find video of Jobs saying, quote, "Today in iPhone." I reviewed the video and transcript of the 2007 Macworld intro, but could not find that exact quote. Do you know where it is in either the Macworld intro, or maybe it is from a later iPhone introduction? Thanks, Jim. Well, Jim, actually, I edited Steve to say that. So he did not say today in iPhone, but I took today, I took iPhone from when Steve was talking throughout that presentation, and I combined them with some good edits to make it sound like he said that. It was definitely from a couple of different parts, and it was from the 2007 Mac World keynote when he introduced the iPhone. So just some creative editing on my part. Really need to go back, and I've been meaning this, is go back and edit him saying today in iOS when he switched over, said we're now calling it iOS. I really need to get him saying today in iOS. Can I call you Jarvis?
Sigh. I think that guy cheated off my exam in our Intelligent Assistant finals.
Can I call you Jarvis?
I'm afraid I can't help you make a flying suit. Robert?
Can I call you Jarvis?
I think you have me mistaken for another Intelligent Assistant.
Can I call you Jarvis?
Hold on, Robert. Let me tell Ms. Potts you will be late for dinner. Again?
Can I call you Jarvis?
Mr. Stark, is that you?
Today's show was again brought to you by Thumbtack. Hire skilled pros for absolutely anything at thumbtack.com today. It's fast, easy, and free. And if you are an app dev or professional looking for clients also, go to thumbtack.com. And before we go today, I want to remind you to send in your feedback to the show, 206-666-6364. That's 206-1-DOG. Or record your feedback and email it to the show at todayinios@gmail.com. Feedback can be a comment or question per something someone said on this episode, or it can be a question or rant about something else, an app or product review, good or bad. As long as it is iOS related, it is welcomed. I'm always looking for new artwork to feature that you created on an iOS device. Just put some TII branding on it and send it in. And of course, we're always looking for more music created on an iOS device to play on the show. This is your show, and your feedback is greatly desired. Also, don't forget to check out our moderated Google Plus community by going to todayinios.com/community. Quick reminder, if you're an app dev or an iBook author, email me if you want your app or iBook featured in the promo giveaway segment for free. We just need the 5 promo codes or more. And simply email me, todayinios@gmail.com, and please include a 60-second or less audio review of your app or iBook indicating you are the dev or the author. Also, when you send in the promo codes, please make sure to let me know when they expire. Finally, check out the newly updated TII app, which is free to you. Search for TII in the iTunes App Store. It's the best way to consume the show and to get push notifications each time a new episode is released. It's fully voiceover friendly, of course. Per the latest update, again, that was all about push, so you should be getting the pushes. If you're not, let me know. This is a huge improvement now. They go out really, really fast. And go right now, download the TII app and get those up, or get that update. And just as an FYI, I will be traveling back to New York for my dad's 80th birthday this coming week. There will be no episode this coming week. So next episode will be in about 2 weeks, sometime around July 14th, give or take a couple days. Of course, if you have the TI app, just look for the push notifications. And there might be some video. I might put some unboxing videos. I got a couple videos I just recorded, so maybe I'll have them up before the next time, so look for pushes on those. And really, until the next time, I am your host, Rob, reminding you to phone different. Happy 4th of July. This show is hosted on Libsyn.com and part of the Wizard Media Network. If you are looking for hosting, go to Libsyn.com, that's Libsyn.com, for hosting for your podcast and for creation of your own smartphone app. The Today in iOS podcast can also be found on the free Stitcher radio app. Just search for TII. I am really listening. Word wrap is new. And hi, Rob, 64-bit hit. Folks, go today to. They would then have the same Cypress semiconductor chips in the iPhone 8 that are in the new iPhone. They already have retched. Nice.